I could not agree more, Stizer. This is an awesome point. And I just want to, in video, say what I said in a comment, which is that, everything living has a consciousness, in the sense that it's analogous. Now, a human consciousness is very different from other consciousnesses, but primarily, I think the biggest difference is between neurological and non-neurological, or between very different, neurological arrangements as well. Okay, and these differences exist between people because of our subtle neurological differences, and they're more extreme, of course, between us and creatures that don't have neurology. But I think what consciousness is it's associated with information gathering. To information gather implies there's some sort of action / analysis available. So, I expect that the consciousness of a plant, relates to the things, to the areas where it gathers information. So where do we know? I mean, there's a lot we don't know about that, but for example, plants know where the sun is, and they move to face the sun. That's what they think about. They're conscious of the location of the sun. I think that that's a fair deduction. So they don't have nerves to transmit that information, but they do have chemicals. So it's slower. It's perfectly analogous. Information is still, passed. It's like we used to call just carrying a floppy to somebody's office and give it to them sneaker net. We all had network, but especially back when it wasn't always working right. You have sneaker net. Well, you can have a network that way. You can run a computer program on an abacus with the human doing it. It's just that it's really, really slow, and plants are slow. So I don't think the difference is whether or not that there's consciousness of things happening. And where people also get confused, and I don't think Stizer is at all, is mistaking the idea of consciousness with self-consciousness. Now, humans are pretty unique in the level of self-consciousness. And there's material ways. It sounds like an abstract thought, like what does that mean? But, there's material aspects. When you look in a mirror or your reflection in water, deducing that is you. I mean, it's an image on the surface of the water, but it is you. That is self-consciousness, where you're conscious, your senses have sensed yourself, and you understand yourself as an object. Because when you're conscious, you understand something is an object. Whatever plant knows the sun, just heat. It doesn't have eyes, so it doesn't see a sun up there. It just feels the heat. So it is heat. It's something different. This thing but it is something. And for most animals, their perception of the self is confusing. It's like it's so omnipresent, or like oxygen, and it becomes clear, it becomes automatically subtracted. The fact that you see the world from this position does not automatically imply that you'll realize that you're an object in the space with a position. That itself is a self-conscious sort of analysis. Whereas I think most living things are just analyzing the input they get, which is of other things. And what input is mixed in there of themselves, like, oh, they itch, or they're hungry, they don't think of them as conditions of themselves. They think of them as conditions of the world. So anyway, we have all of these differences between the different kinds of consciousness, and those are interesting. But there's still, no matter what, and this is what I said in the comment, more similarity between a human consciousness and a plant's type of chemical-based consciousness, our neurological versus their chemical-based consciousness. They have, as alien as that plant consciousness is to us because it's non-neurological, it's still way more similar and relatable than the non-consciousness of a stone or a vacuum. Right? So